Hi everyone, this is Chandra with Intuitive Crafting. Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about inspiration. Inspiration is one of those things that can be difficult to come by, but once you do, it can get you moving in the right direction. It can really, fuel your best work or your biggest project, or just keep you going in general. So there are so many different ways to get inspired. If you're like me, I'm a really visual person. Um, Certain colors really activate my imagination. They make me motivated. I gravitate towards certain colors to get inspired. So we'll talk about that. Now, the first thing I want you to do is think about different ways that you can gain inspiration. Now, we have access to so many resources online, which is great. It's a great way to find some inspiration. But one of the first things that you can do to get inspired to start knitting or crocheting or anything that you have going is to just look around you. That's a very basic, very easy thing to do. Look around you. You know, you could look at the colors of your room, or it could be as simple as someone you know. It could be you, or in my case, a lot of times when I'm making something, especially when I'm crafting jewelry, um, I think of my mother. She had such a classic style. She could be very versatile in the way that she put herself together. So she is always in the back of my mind when I'm thinking about what I'm doing, what I'm making, and what inspires me. Another thing is, as we think about, you know, online, the things that we have access to, we have access to so many different images on Google. One thing I've gotten back to very recently is Pinterest. Pinterest is something you could lose yourself in. You could spend all afternoon looking at different things. Like if you want to make a hat, if you type in hats, you're going to get a gazillion hat images. You can narrow that down to, crocheted hats or knit hats. You're still going to get like a ton of things. But one thing I can say is you will never find a shortage of images on Pinterest to get inspired by. So Pinterest is an excellent way to just get your feet in there and dip your hands, your feet, whatever you want to dip in there, and get inspired. There's so many ways to search. Just get started. If you don't have an account, it's easy to get an account. I'm not, you know, being paid by them or anything. It's just something I've gotten back into recently. I used to spend a lot of time on Pinterest, got away from it, and I've gotten back onto it recently, and it's a very valuable tool to help you get inspired. Another way is magazines. Now, one thing I used to do is when just would get stuck, or I just wanted to get away from what I was doing um, in my workshop, or I wanted to get inspired, is I would go to the bookstore and gather up all the magazines that I like, the fashion magazines, the knitting magazines, the crochet magazines, get myself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and sit down and just thumb through the pages and look at all of the fashion. Now, we're not talking about, being a copycat here. We just want to be inspired. Now, being original is good and is important, but you always have to realize that someone has already thought of what you want to do or what you plan to do in some shape, form, or fashion. What's unique about you, what's unique about me, is our ability to put our own spin on a scarf, a sweater, a, an afghan, a blanket, a throw. if you make it, that's what makes it unique. So that's something to consider. But as we look to others for inspiration, or ourselves, our own, decor, our own wardrobe, as we look to those things, or as we look to a search engine like Pinterest or magazines, is that we want to realize that we have something to contribute. We don't have to be the copycat. You just want to open yourself up to the world of possibilities. And the possibilities are endless, but they also exist in magazines, in Google Images, in our own private lives. So these are ways to get inspiration. The inspiration could be a certain style, a certain look, the way something is worn, the way something feels. So start thinking about those things when you start thinking about the kind of projects that you want to start, or even how you want to finish something that you started. You can do something as simple as starting with your favorite color. Now, one of the things that happens is when you tell your family and friends, or even a cashier when you go into a craft store, that you are an aspiring uh, knitter or crocheter, is that your family and friends will say, "Oh, I have all of this yarn that I bought." Someone will tell you, "Oh, I have all this, yarn um, I haven't used, and I want to give it to you." Or if you go into a craft store, you have someone who'll, immediately point you to the bargain bin, and you'll find things in there that, you may not, items in there that may not necessarily move you. So you want to be aware of that. You don't want to collect donations, or, sale items that you aren't really that passionate about, because there's a good chance you're just going to lose interest, and you don't want to do that in the initial stages of anything, whether you're a beginner or even, someone who has some experience under your belt. So I say stick with your favorite color, um, favorite colors, and textures, and you really can't go wrong. It will help you um, remain, get inspired and remain inspired. So I hope these things have helped you. Sometimes when we're working on something, we don't think about the fact that we might be losing inspiration. Staying inspired is really important. If you are new to the task, it's easy to get excited at first, and then, your interest wanes, sometimes very quickly. So in order to avoid wasting time, or, losing interest, get inspired and stay inspired. And you can do that by, don't be a copycat. Look to your own style. You can't go wrong doing that. And work with your favorite colors. So hope that helps.